Now up to this point, we've been working on some really nice little melodies. We worked on a really significant piece recently, Ode to Joy, Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. Now I think it's time to change the groove up a little bit and work on something maybe a little closer to American style of music. This piece, Rockin' the Blues, based on the blues. Now, blues music is a form of music that was developed in America by African Americans, and it's a style of music that has been so influential to all other types of music. It's been influential to swing music, jazz music, to rock music, to pop music, to R&B, to almost any type of popular forms of music in the United States and throughout the world. Now I think that this music is great music and it's definitely worth practicing, so that's why we're going to work on this piece. Let's just go right to it. Rockin' the Blues. So again, like we did with Ode to Joy, when we first get a piece of music up, let's take a look at the music. We're going to eyeball it. We're going to take a look through it and see how it goes. You know, make sure there's nothing too difficult for us to play, and we'll just kind of go through it. Now, first measure looks okay, nothing too hard. Some eighth notes in there, but we've already worked on those from the last piece. Next measure is easy, quarter note with some rests. Continuing on, another measure with some eighth notes. We can do that. Fifth measure, we've got eighth notes also. They're not too difficult though. They're just beamed a little different. They're 4 eighth notes together. So if you have 4 eighth notes in a row, you can beam them together, like 4 notes all together beamed. Okay, eighth notes. Remember, eighth notes are half a count each. When you're counting them, the foot should be down, up, so the notes go along with that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We're breaking the beat into 2 parts, the down and the up, or the 1 and the and, the 2 and the and, the 3 and the and, the 4 and the and. So the eighth notes come both on the numbers and the ands. Well, let's jump ahead now. I see a measure that looks a little tricky, something we haven't dealt with yet, measure 9. This measure has grace notes, those little notes. That's what they're called. They're called grace notes, those little squiggly notes. Look like little eighth notes with a slash through them right before the quarter notes. What those notes are, they're embellishment notes. Just like if you have a birthday cake that has flowers or little pieces of candy on it, those are embellishments, those flowers or those pieces of candy. They kind of make the cake a little more interesting. They're not the meat and potatoes substance of the cake, but they are nice to have. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do that. You just play a quick little grace note and leading into the main note. Okay? Measure 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. You hear that? Just a little quick note going into the E. The D goes into the E very fast. All right? A little quick grace note. They also call that an embellishment. So let me play those 2 measures, measure 9 and measure 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how that should sound. The grace notes going into the main note. All right? Now the rest of the song doesn't look too difficult because we've got the same thing happening on the last 2 measures that we had in the measure 3, measure 4, and measure 7 and measure 8. Same exact thing. Everything's the same on those measures. The only new thing now is the last note. We know the note. It's a half note. It's easy. But there's a fermata over it. That's that bird's eye looking thing. What's a fermata? Well, a fermata is something that tells you to hold the note. Hold the note usually longer than the original value. Your conductor will tell you how long to hold the note. He'll cut you off when it's time to finish. But if you're playing by yourself, you can hold it out longer, and it's up to you to decide when to cut off on that fermata at the very end. So now let's start looking over the piece. Let's see if we can play a little bit of it. Let's work on the first measure. Actually, we'll work on the first 2 measures. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that wasn't too bad, right? Pretty easy. Let's try the next two measures. Oh, wait a second. We don't have to because they're the same as the first two measures, repeated. Let's jump over to measure 5 because that's where things get a little different. Ready? Measure 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, measure 5. Let's do it again and go into measure 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so those measures are all right. Now remember, when you're playing, try to think about good rhythm, think about good tone, think about your posture, keep that going because that's all part of playing the saxophone. Now the next two measures, measure 7 and measure 8, nothing really difficult because we already played those. Those are the same as the first two measures, the same as the second two measures, and we'll see those again later on as well. So let's skip back over to measure 9 and measure 10. Let's play those with the grace notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, well, we've worked on the hard measures. Now let's go back to the beginning and play the whole piece. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you'll notice that I played that last note a little bit longer, and that's because of the fermata. Also, something to think about when you're practicing this piece on your own, you can play it strongly because this is a rockin' tune, Rockin' the Blues, and rock and blues often gets played a little bit louder than classical music, a little bit stronger. It's not as soft and as pretty all the time. It can be a little bit more intense, and that's the way we like it. But still, think about good tone while you're doing it. Doesn't mean it's the chance to get ugly and nasty when you play, but you just try to make it sound good, but with some strength. Okay, have fun practicing Rockin' the Blues.